Test. Loud. Yeah.
Test.
Hello? You can hear me? Can you hear me now? All right.
So we can reopen it. It goes all the way back to Mosley Street.
Yes, it does. It is the solution to my
We're
problem.
9 members strong
Not
on
enough
that.
there that looks
For
like
that committee?
it would help the coffee down the hill.
No, it creates that
Really?
cross street that doesn't exist on that side.
Cool.
Right. Yeah, nothing else goes to, except Carlisle.
How do you get to Carlisle?
It's the cross street.
Yeah, well, you can't turn left.
That's correct. You cannot. It's right both ways.
Yeah.
Well, Mower Street's gonna be right both ways. The DOT puts their stuff, because their stuff is going all the way down to Charles Street, which is down past Maurice's barbecue. So Mower Street is right there by the furniture store and both gates. Mower Street.
All right. You ready?
Still have,
Okay. Yeah.
You're gonna. He's here.
Yes.
Okay. You can do the pledge, and then he can do the. Okay. And what was his name again?
Pastor Dale Weldon. Weldon? Dale Weldon. Weldon. My patch.
Dale Weldon.
Yes.
Reverend
Pastor.
Pastor.
7 o'clock, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I'd like to call the what is this? The January 7th, 2020 meeting of the Irmo Town Council to order. We just had our public workshop at 6 o'clock, and we came up with some changes that we'll be discussing a little bit later on. I would like to put everybody on notice that the meeting is broadcast live, streamed on the town Facebook page. So if you come up to the podium, you will be videoed and broadcast across the world. I'd like to get the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Eric Sickinger and the invocation by Pastor Dale Weldon. Mr. Sickinger?
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's pray together. Oh Lord, we thank you for the many blessings that we have because we live in this community. We thank you for these who have shown their willingness and have been chosen to represent us. We pray that you would give them wisdom and a spirit of unity. We continue to pray for our community. We pray for a peaceful community, for safety in our community, and safety for those who protect us. So, Lord, we look to you for all this and ask for your continued blessing, and we pray this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We all have been given a copy of the minutes from December 17th, 2019 meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? Anybody has any changes to the minutes?
No.
Seeing none, is there a motion? I make a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Mr. Bush made a motion, Mr. Sickinger seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Report of the standing committees, administrative briefing. Mr. Brown, do you have any changes for the administrative briefing for us?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay. And is there any changes that we have for him, council? None?
I note, you have January 14th on here. Y'all don't forget that. That's Lexington County night downtown at the convention center. It's a very nice event. You will be glad you went, no matter which county you live in.
Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
I make a motion.
Wait, to accept what?
The briefing.
Briefing. There was none, but we.
Sure, second.
I'm looking for that. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none? No amendments to the agenda? Are there any consideration of communications? I have two. Well, I'll tell you about this one. Under consideration of communication, there's a number of new committees that the town has begun to implement. Roads Committee, as you see on the, is it on the screen? Do we have it on the screen? The different committees?
No.
No?
No.
Nope.
Okay. Well, we have a number of new committees that we're forming in the town. I'm going to talk about them. They're on your printed agendas. The Roads Committee, Stream and Flooding Committee, Beautification Committee, Outreach Committee, Events Committee, and Water and Sewer Task Force. Each one of these committees are citizen-driven, and they are looking for citizens to actually come and apply or actually want to serve on these different committees to help us formulate different events and to work on different issues in the town. I think that these committees are new to the town, or new to being the way we're going to run them, as well as we have a number of members of the community who has volunteered to head these committees and to work on these issues together. I would love for the citizens to be aware of these committees. It's on our website. It's on the, if you want to be a member of any of these, work on any of these committees, you can sign up on the talent page and then indicate what committee you'd like to work on. But keep in mind, when there's an issue that comes up, as far as, let's say, streams and flooding, for instance, here's your opportunity to work on resolving that stream and flooding issue by getting on those committees and working together with the community and with the council to get it resolved. That's all I had for that. For the Irmo Outreach Committee, they're having an event on Saturday, January 25th at the Tin Zoo. It's a membership drive. Coffee and donuts will be provided at 10 o'clock in the morning. And again, this is a citizen committee, the Outreach Committee. Right now, they have 9 members in that group. So just think about it. We have 9 active members in the outreach committee. We have about, I think it's about 20 members of the Arbor Day, and all that's part of that beautification group. So I can see some great things happening in the town of Irmo as far as beautification and outreach from a citizens-driven point perspective. So that's all I had as far as communications. Did you have anything, Mr. Signature?
No.
Okay. If that's it, I'll have presentation by citizens, agenda items only. This is from the people that have signed up on the list. Megan Armstrong. Is she in? Come on up, Megan.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations to our new mayor and city councilman. I am here representing Hill Creek. My name is Megan Armstrong. I'm at 108 Weeping Cherry Lane. Currently am the HOA president, here to just speak once again on behalf of the neighborhood, excuse me, and our concerns with the development across the street. I know, we as a neighborhood are very appreciative to those of you who have connected with our neighbors, have heard our voice continuously on this issue. And, simply it's the continued 3 bullets that we've talked about. We do have concerns with traffic implications. I know that we've had some of our neighbors come down here and have been able to look at what is being proposed as it stands, and what I've seen today via emails that the entrance to the proposed development is going to be directly across the main entryway for Hill Creek. For those of you that are, longstanding citizens, we have had unfortunate accidents in front of our neighborhood, and that is the safety for our neighbors is a key concern that will always continue. Additionally, the impact to our schools, I know we're having tons of young families moving into our neighborhood, wanting their children to attend our Irmo public schools. And there are concerns, even with some of my neighbors who are teachers, around the general bandwidth and what, bringing all the families in will cause. And finally, one of the asks from our community is around a environmental impact study. What does this mean to us? What, if there are storms, runoff concerns, et cetera. And if that is something that we could have looked at, we'd be very appreciative. So, thank you. Thank you very much.
The snake is still there too.
Snake?
Yeah.
What snake?
There's a black snake. No?
Oh,
Oh, Hampton.
I don't know. I didn't hear about this. I hear about every.
Okay, I thought it was a.
I hear about.
Okay.
Okay. Well.
Okay, the black snake was, yeah.
All right. Well, there's a snake roaming too.
It was
so
a rare.
thank you.
It was a rare snake. It was, y'all.
Mr. Lee Watts. Lee Watts. Is there a Lee Watts in the house? Mr. Mark Passmore.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen. Mayor Barry, Councilman. I'm a single issue guy. I like to do a bark in the park. Every town I've lived in, small and large, has had some kind of event for our canine fur babies, and I'd like to do a bark in the park. So I'm offering my services to spearhead this. I'm the kind of guy that gets things done. I'm not a committee person, but if you want a job done, point me in the direction, I'll get it done. A bark in the park and a dog park. It'll add to this community tremendously. What do you think?
Did you sign up for the?
Talk about it?
You signed up for the events committee?
I didn't know what, I don't know if it's an event or what, but, I just said I'll put my name in the hat.
Right.
So that I can get this podium right here and say, I want to get my dogs out in the park with other dogs having fun. You know, I'm not a complicated guy.
Okay.
So if you'll kindly consider that, let me know. I'll be your lead guy on it if you want me to. Okay?
Very good.
Great, thank you. Mr. George Glassmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to address items 9, C, and D as they appear on the agenda, specifically the term limits proposals. As I noted at the last meeting, I'm not necessarily opposed to term limits, but what I am opposed to is treating yourselves on council different than the members of the various panels and boards. Mr. Mayor, you made a point at the last meeting that the citizens, in effect, impose term limits on council members every election period, and that's certainly correct. The problem with that is that generally only happens at 2-year intervals at best, unless there's an unexpected vacancy, whereas with the proposals that you have on the agenda, the council can virtually at will, they take effect automatically, essentially, without any action from the voters, and I think
I'm sorry, say it again now.
they take effect automatically without any action from the voters, as proposed. And
You're
if
talking about the appointments to the committees or?
no, sir.
The term limit.
Again, items 9, C, and D, term limits on the agenda, the term limit proposals.
Okay, I understand that, but you're saying it take effect immediately without any
Yeah,
action
as
from the
soon as
voters?
those terms are, as soon as an individual on one of those committees has served those 2 terms, they're not
Right.
subject to reappointment, and it doesn't take any action. I think there needs to be a way to impose term limits on the council members unless council feels that they're better than the citizens, particularly in light of the fact that the citizens that serve on these various committees do it on a voluntary basis without any compensation at all. There needs to be a way to also impose term limits on council members. That's my point.
Okay,
Thank you.
and as I said before, we have term limits every 2 years. And I agree. Maria Maria, I'm sorry, I couldn't read your last name. Medans, thank you.
Good evening. First of all, Happy New Year and congratulations to the new members of council. Anyways, I live in Hill Creek with my family, and we've been there the whole time, and for a long time actually, most of my life. And I just want to reiterate what Megan spoke about earlier. It's highly concerning with traffic. I've noticed a huge increase with traffic. And, what I foresee is it's going to get worse. So it's very concerning as I have a little baby nephew, and I'm concerned about all children. And just want to make sure our neighborhood is still peaceful and quiet. Noticed through the years, especially lately, there are a lot of sirens, and do not remember that in the past. So it's a lot of noise, disturbance, and I just think the more people you have, it's just going to get worse. So it's going to be worse with traffic, worse with noise. It's going to be worse with the schools are at capacity. I have friends that are in the educational system, and they are just, they said they just don't have any more room. And Irmo schools were number 1 when we moved here. I don't know if that's still true. Kind of what I've heard, it's not, but I'm not the expert, so I don't want to say, but I've heard it's not. Lexington 5 is not at the same point it used to be. And I think when you start increasing the numbers, that's just logical, you know. So, and the other point is we are concerned about our property value. And I don't think there's any shame in that. When you work your whole life, my parents have worked their whole life, they're in the community. I know a lot of you here tonight know them. You might not know me, but you know, mom and dad, and you know, and other people in Hill Creek have worked their whole life and in the surrounding neighborhoods, and you don't want to see your property going down. That would just be a shame. So I love trees. I also think we should keep as many trees as possible. And like Megan said about the environmental impact, I think that will be a very good point. So thank you all for your time, and I hope you'll be able to review everything. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that want to address council on agenda items? Please come forward. You didn't sign up on the pad, but that's okay. Just give us your name and your address when you come up.
Hello, I'm sorry I didn't get here at the very beginning, so I didn't sign the agenda. I, too, am a resident of...
What's your name, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Fred Dings. I live at 109 Weeping Cherry Lane,
Okay.
resident of Hill Creek subdivision. My wife and I moved out here in 2004 after living downtown in the Five Points area, finding it increasingly difficult to sleep because of all the ambulances, the police sirens, and the fire trucks, et cetera, and the loud rock music coming from Five Points, et cetera. So we moved out here to a quiet neighborhood. We've seen certain things change in the last 15 years, not for the better in terms of traffic. Now, people have mentioned traffic here before, but let's get really specific about it. When you come out of that entrance of Hill Creek onto Lake Murray Boulevard, during a time when most people are going to work for day shift and students are going to school, it is impossible to turn left any longer without adding 10 to 15 minutes of my commute time for going downtown. So my wife and I both have to turn right and take alternative routes just so we can get onto the main arteries going downtown. Of course, you already know we had these terrible problems with the I-26 and 126 going into town, but now that's added it to the front end of our commute. And of course, it's not much better at the end of the workday trying to come down Lake Murray Boulevard. We're in a habit now of going an exit higher and then coming in through Friars Gate just to try to get to our home. So when we say traffic, we mean significantly greater traffic even now. And if we add, for example, 44 families with 1+ cars across the street from where we live now, exiting onto Lake Murray Boulevard, we have serious problems. And of course, you know, who's enriched by this? It's certainly not the town, it's certainly not me and my neighbors, it's one person maybe or a group of investors, and the rest of us have to suffer because someone else wants to increase their wealth. That doesn't seem to me to be quite right. Right. Let's look at the other situation. Let's talk about the parallel road, Fork Road from Lake Murray Boulevard. Every morning, it is impassable. Anyone coming off of St. Andrews Road that wants to, anyone coming off of Nursery Road that wants to get over to St. Andrews Road will have to lose 10, maybe 12, 15 minutes just to try and get down Fork Road because traffic is backed up for the car rider line for Irmo Elementary School. We already have real problems with traffic in this town, and unless we're willing to, come up with the money to widen the boulevard and add traffic lights, all at the cost of who? Well, you and me, the taxpayers, so that one person or a small group of investors can increase their wealth? It just doesn't make sense. There are places for this, but I don't think that's the place 1 block away from the elementary school, right at the place of greatest congestion in our town. Why there? There have to be other places. Single family units, would be much more sensible because they would not be adding so heavily to the burden of the congestion that we already face. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other citizens want to come forward?
Jada Powell, 212 Walters Lock. Sorry I was late, so I didn't get to sign the paper. So I wanted to ask about the events committee. Does one have to be on the events committee to continue to hold events in the town of Irmo? So you don't have to answer because I know you're not going to, but a lot of people know I hold events here. I would like to continue my events. They are well attended. The town enjoys them. But why do I have to be on a committee to do so? That's all I want to know. And you don't have to address me now, but if you could answer that later, maybe. Thank you.
I would like for you to continue.
Well, that's to be determined. But thank you. I appreciate that.
Anybody else? No? All right, we'll continue on then. Unfinished business, item A, third and final reading. Do I have a motion?
I motion we approve.
Mr. Kelly made a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Condon, second. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Item B, third and final reading of ordinance to amend 1927 and to reduce the density from 16 to 4. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Condon made a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Kelly, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried unanimously. Second reading of ordinance 1928 to approve the term limits to 2 consecutive term on the boards and commissions.
I make a motion.
Mr. Kelly made a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Sickinger, second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, there's a proposal there that the town attorney added some wording to that. So you want to make an amendment to approve the proposed version.
Is the proposed?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm sorry, there you go. Okay.
There you go. So we had to fix that from the last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I approve I make a
Make it.
motion. Do we have to do a second, then discuss this, then?
Well, we have to approve the amendment to it. Or we're going to amend it to this to say add those words.
You need a motion to amend the
Yeah.
With the
I
second.
move to amend this motion with the proposed
Amendment.
displayed.
I second.
Okay, so Mrs. Sickinger made the motion, Ms. Condon second. Is that right? Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah. So, I think the comment about term limits and the back and forth there that was a little bit out of order I think it's a fair question about establishing term limits. I have no problem with the term limit for myself. If I'm not doing my job, though, I feel like the voters would not want me in that seat if and I think one of the challenges so I'm generally in favor of this. One of the challenges I think, the concern that I have is the goal here is to encourage other people to be involved, right, at the end of the day, at least from my perspective. And if someone has 8 years, 10 years, 12 years of experience, I think what we've seen over the last years that I've been paying attention have been the same people getting the slots over and over again until someone says, I'm done, and then finally a spot opens up. But it seems to be kind of almost an expectation that you wait your turn. And I don't think I'm in favor of anyone having to wait their turn.
You're not in favor of anybody having to wait?
I'm not in favor of anyone having to wait their turn or pay their dues. If they're the right person and they want to raise their hand, and then it encourages those people to come out. Because if I'm up against two people, if there's two open spots and two people are going back for the same seat that they've had for the last 20 years, well, I know that my chances of getting that slot are very low. My only concern is the number of applicants that might be filling that spot. So I look at the roads committee right now, which I don't know about you, but I don't think our roads are in great shape. So it seems to me like there's a possibility of having no candidates for these positions, and that's really my only other concern.
So could we amend it to say that if we don't have any applicants at the time a seat comes open and somebody's been on for 8 years and they wish to come back, that at the discretion of I don't know how you would word it exactly, but that if there was 0 applicants, but we did have one interested that also was in the 8-year window that would have to leave, would you be able to bring them back? Is there a way to?
That could be.
You can amend the ordinance that way if you like. The easiest way to do it is to pass the ordinance the way you have it. At the end of the first time somebody has a term limit that's expiring, if council decides they really want to keep that person, all you got to do is go back and amend the ordinance at that point, and you fix it.
Well, it's not so much if we want to keep them, but if we have no other applicants available.
You can add that right now if you want to. And you can put that in the form of a motion, and Bob can get it properly formulated. But simply a motion that would provide that at the end of the term limit, should there be no other applicants, at the pleasure of council, the term limit can be extended for an additional term.
That's good. Okay,
The only problem, okay, are you done?
Yeah.
The only problem I have with that is that I think it's highly unlikely that we'll never have anybody want to join these committees. I think that's good speculation, and in the past, it may have been that way. But as you can see here on our planning commission, we got more than enough people wanting to be on that planning commission.
We do.
We have enough of people that want to be on the ZBA. We have enough people who want to be on the hospitality. Look at the hospitality tax committee we're going to tonight.
Yeah.
That's I understand what you're saying, it could happen, but I think it's going to be highly unlikely that situation would happen under this new administration. And like you said, Mr. Signature, I don't want somebody to feel like they're never, ever going to get to be able to serve on a board because the incumbent that's been there for 20, 30 years keeps wanting to get reappointed. And so we have to literally die to make an opening. This is just a safeguard to allow new folks that want to participate in the direction of the town. They know that, well, there's an opening coming out on the ZBA, so we can apply to be a member of that ZBA without any fear of saying that, well, the incumbent has been there for 20 years, is automatically going to get reappointed. No, that incumbent served 2 terms. He's not going to be reappointed right away, so then you are encouraged to apply to be a part of that ZBA. So I really don't think that's going to be an issue. If it is,
I
at that
don't think
time,
it'll be an issue. Yeah, sorry.
if it is an issue, like Mr. Moore said, we can just amend the ordinance at that point. But I don't think it's going to be an issue. I really don't think it's going to be an issue based on what I've seen here.
I hope you're right. It used to be an issue.
It used to be,
It used
but
to
look at the new blood that we got coming on these boards right now. I mean, tonight we got what? We got more than enough people on one of these committees that we need. We never had that before. I think now that people see that there's a chance to get on to serve, that more people will apply. I'm confident in the citizens of Irmo.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, raise the right hand, please.
Mr. Mayor, you need to approve the amendment first. Vote on the amendment.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have to vote, okay, we made a motion to approve the amendment.
Amendment we discussed.
Right. Can I,
We need to
vote
vote.
on the amendment?
Right.
All in favor? Right hand? Okay, now, we're gonna approve the ordinance. All in favor of the ordinance as amended? Raise your right hand. All opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. New business, item A. This is to,
You've still got old business, 19-30.
D.
D, we got,
oh, I skipped over that one. I'm sorry.
previous was the zoning board of appeals.
Okay, yeah, that's
This
right.
one's gonna
This
be
is
for-
planning commission. Same thing, item D. Okay, I got you. I'm sorry. Is there a motion for second reading?
I make a motion,
Hey,
Second.
is it second or third?
Second.
second, and then,
Second on this one.
and do we have an amendment for this one as well? So I make a
Yeah.
motion that we have a second reading.
We have an amendment on this one also.
Yeah.
You gotta second this,
So
then we can.
Second, your
Sec-
amendment.
Second his amendment, okay. So we've been moving second, any discussion? Any discussion on this?
Yeah, it would be the same discussion.
Same thing
Same
applies here.
discussion, okay. All right, all in favor of the amendment, the ordinance as amended, raise your right hand. Okay, and now the motion for adopting the amended motion, the way it is, do we have a motion?
So move.
Mr. Sickinger moves, the second.
Sure.
Kathy, second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, thank you. New business, item A, first reading. We had our workshop today, and as we know, we went through it page by page. This is the update on the current zoning and land use ordinances that we adopted. Is there a motion for first reading?
I move we have a first reading.
Mr. Kelly moves, a second.
Second.
A second, okay, and as you know, we made extensive modifications and amendments to it. So I would like to pass it in title only on the first reading, and then on the second reading, we'll have all the modifications and additions that we talked about at the workshop.
Okay.
Is that fine? Okay, so it's been properly moved and second. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the ordinance as passed, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Item B, first reading, to allow council to vote to replace any committee member at any time for any reason. First reading of that. Is there a motion for first reading? So move.
I'll move for discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second.
Second. Mr. Sickinger moved. Mr. Kelly seconded. Go ahead.
I'm concerned about anything where individual conflicts can create a situation where council may remove somebody. At the same time, I certainly can see situations where someone is not serving, and I think, for cause. which that might need to be defined, but I would much rather have it be for cause rather than for any reason. Same thing as any kind of employment where it's not, although it's technically at will, I guess, when you're serving on a committee.
It is.
And
It is.
And it's not a paid position.
It is. It is not.
Right. And, in a lot of states now, it is at-will employment, right? The employer can fire you for any reason.
Yep.
So one part of me says I would want it to be for cause, but the other part of me says it just follows right along with how employment works generally in most states in the U.S. So that's the two sides of it from my perspective.
Okay, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, so I understand this is to be a majority of council, so it can't be an arbitrary decision by one individual.
Correct.
The council has to agree,
Correct.
so it's somewhat democratic.
Correct. Semi-democratic.
And I don't know what the previous, I came to this not knowing what the previous requirements are for a member. I would assume if they break the law or things like that, that they would be removed through some act. But I don't know what those rules were, so.
There was no rules. That's what we're doing.
Okay, then I support having some sort of methodology.
That's what we're just clarifying that. That's all. Making it very crystal clear. Ms. Condo?
If one of us is arrested for almost anything, the governor removes it.
The governor, but I mean, yeah, as far as.
Now, but we are, that's different from a volunteer on a committee. And my only concern is a personal vendetta or whatever. And I hate to tell y'all, but they exist.
Really?
Yeah, in small towns.
Oh, my
especially.
goodness.
I know. And I would hate for it, I like for cause. If there's a good reason, and a majority of us think so, then I would be more in favor of that.
The reason why it's worded that way is that we don't have to publicly air what
No,
the
we
cause
can
may
do it in administrative session, an executive session or what.
Right.
I hate for it to be, we're gonna throw him off, we just don't like him, or we just.
Or her.
Or her, that's right.
Or it.
How do I properly ask for time? So, for example, with an employee issue, we would have to go into executive session. Would this also be an executive session as well, or would this be done in a public forum?
Well, this will be done in public forum.
Executive session.
We
This
can't
will be
vote in
done-
executive session.
We have to vote in public.
No, you vote in public.
Right.
Discussion would take place in executive session. Generally, you don't have to, but most of the time, discussion is executive session.
Any more?
No, but I am concerned about it. I'm not against it, I just think we need to clarify that it's for cause.
Well, this is first reading. We can get clarification.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Any more? Ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? It's unanimous. Item C, resolution adopting the town safety policy. As you see here, I have a question about this. Well, let's approve this. Do I have a motion to approve this?
Yeah, I so moved.
No,
Second, yeah.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, is there discussion? Discussion about it? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Now, Chief, I had a question about a piece of property in town where we have, what do you call it, the mutual aid agreement between our agency and Richland County, Lexington County, all those people. Does this approval, this resolution, have anything to do with that? No? Okay.
Safety policy that we all sign,
Okay.
employee has, that we will adhere to the
Okay, I got you.
It's got nothing to do with law enforcement per se.
All right, I'm with you. Thank you. All right, anything else? All right, last one, item D, appointments to the Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee.
Well, let's go ahead and make Kelsey D'Amico? Is that her-
D'Amico?
D'Amico, let's go ahead and let her fill the position she's qualified for. She's only one.
And then Jason.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
And then Jason Rouch.
Well, we
Can
just
we, can we
finished,
consider them
Do
individually,
it one at a time?
please?
Okay, no problem.
and that, yeah,
Well, all right, we'll do one at a time. So you want to vote on that Kathy
Yes.
D'Amico? D'Amico?
Kelsey,
Kelsey D'Amico?
I vote for her.
I already seconded.
You're seconded, so
Or are we motioning or voting?
we're voting.
Oh,
You already seconded, right?
yeah.
So you,
All in favor then?
all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, good, so he's done. Mr. Jason Roush, he's on the committee also. He's a restaurateur. He's one of the qualified positions we had to have.
Oh, did he provide the snacks for
That
him?
was the guy.
Oh, yeah, let's vote for him.
He fed us, right?
Well, I mean, he's qualified and involved in the community.
Yeah.
And I'm in favor.
So, the motion for,
Yeah, motion to approve his.
okay, second.
Second?
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Now, we have one at-large position, and we have 4 people that want to be on it. Now, Bob, will that make the committee full at this point?
No, sir. We'll still have a lodging position, a hospitality position open. We'll still have 2 openings.
But the openings are for people who own or run a motel or something?
Correct.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, at large would be just.
We're limited because the lodging, they have to work in the hotel in town, and we've only
I
got
understand. I
one. The
understand.
restaurant can be any restaurant owner in town
Yeah,
or worker.
yeah. Roger Daniels, make a motion for Roger Daniels? Does anybody has a problem? I mean, does anybody have a motion make a motion for anybody, or?
If that's the question, yeah, Brianna Strong.
Huh?
Brianna Strong?
Okay,
I'll second that.
second it, all right, no problem. Any other nominees?
Not from me.
No?
No.
No, okay. All in favor then of being a strong or be that at-large person, raise your right hand. All opposed and opposed, okay, Miss Brianna Strong. Now, Bob, is there any way that we can get these other people that have volunteered to be on at-large to qualify for one of these positions? The other positions? I understand that you had to have somebody in
They gotta work at the
hospitality.
hotel or a restaurant.
Huh?
If they go to work at the hotel or a restaurant
So they can work at a restaurant and be on this
in
committee
town,
in town, and they can work on it?
correct. It's based on state law. It's very
Yeah.
tough to fill those positions, unless we had a whole bunch of hotels.
So how many people we have on this committee now?
It's a 7-person committee.
No, how many people will we have after the vote tonight?
We'll have 5.
Okay,
We've got a quorum.
it's a quorum, okay. So we're still looking for another restaurateur and another hotel. We only have one hotel, so, I mean, can you get 2 people from the same hotel?
Oh,
We just need to build a new hotel.
Okay, well, there you go, Mr. Kelly. We need to build a new hotel, Bob.
second.
All right.
Before we go to presentation,
Yeah.
I should have brought it up under communications or whatever, so please
Sorry?
forgive me. There is a meeting January 30th here,
Right.
and I want as many people as possible to come because it's the Public Service Commission meeting here at our request about the fees and cost of Blue Granite sewer service. Is it at 7?
6
6
o'clock.
o'clock, okay. 6 o'clock, January 30th. It's very important. If we have a big turnout and a lot of people showing interest, it may make a big difference. If it's just 8 or 9 of us, I don't think they're going to listen. But I'll try to remind everybody and put it on Facebook because it's very important. And we have 2 councilmen and a lawyer that are working hard on it, and I want it to be a success. So January 30th, 6 p.m. Got it.
Right here.
Can I add to that? So please, if you are against the Blue Granite, for those of you who might be on Facebook or watching on YouTube, if you are against, because your mic wasn't quite on, if you are against the Blue Granite rate hike request, then show up to that meeting and speak. You don't have to be a good speaker. Your speech could be 10 seconds. I am against this, if you are against it. If you are for it, then I suppose you can still come out and speak in favor. But let your voice be heard by the people who are making the decisions, rather than complaining on Facebook or Nextdoor or for the next 3 years when we have to pay $103 a month to Blue Granite. So if you're against it, that's your opportunity to speak.
It's not just the town of Irmo. It's not just Friarsgate. Ricefield Plantation is Blue Granite.
Mm-hmm.
There are several neighborhoods large neighborhoods, and we need to get in touch with them.
There's a few out, I think,
There
Coon
is.
Road,
Yeah.
There's out by Dutch Fork High School.
We've got to let people know.
We've got to let them know, and we've got to get people out because, as he said, the time to do this is before they do the rate increase.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have the state senator who will be here, Dick Harpootlian. He's made a special appearance, will make a special appearance to show his support of us in our town.
And to be clear, you don't even have to speak, just numbers of people. The more seats that we can fill, the more people, if you know people that are on Blue Granite that are frustrated about this, bring them in. If we can fill this room, the Public Service Commission will take note. They've just recently started making decisions that actually favor the citizens. And we need to keep that momentum up.
Mm-hmm. We'll keep reminding you, don't worry.
Point of parliamentary inquiry. I'd like to add a discussion item right now regarding Jada's question. So is that just a simple motion to have a discussion?
You have to modify, you have to amend the agenda
Right.
to do that.
Okay.
But we can deal with Jada's question, and certainly we can deal with it in a public setting anytime we want to.
Okay. Yeah, I think, one of the challenges is, so I'd like to motion for that.
You don't have to have a
that
motion
amendment.
for it. You may.
So the reality is, of course, that we can't respond when they come up here. That's the nature of that. And
Sorta.
so
Sorta.
that's the way it's supposed,
Sorta.
the strict rules say
Right.
that. It's a concern that I've heard from her and from others, and I think it's really just a clarifying point, right? It's that, but we just need, she's looking for clarification.
That
and
she can't have events outside the
she
events
just-
committee?
Right, she just wants that clarification,
There's no problem with her having events outside the events committee.
right?
Especially since she started so many events
Absolutely.
that have become so popular and
Right.
so good for the town.
I just think it's important that, I don't know, I just don't want 2 more weeks to go by where it's hanging out there and just address it in the public forum.
I don't know why it would be. I thought she signed up for the events committee.
I believe she did,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments before I open up for citizens? None? At this time, I'd like to have presentation by citizens on any item, any agenda item, anything you want to speak to us about. Just simply come up to the podium and give us your name, your address, your telephone number. No, I'm kidding. Mr. Jake Moore.
I did want to bring you up to speed on 2 things which I think you will find to be of significant interest. First of all, I have had a number of conversations with the attorney for Blue Granite in regard to the exploding manhole covers that we had. We are trying to make arrangements for Blue Granite and their engineers to come meet with me next week here at Town Hall. When and if we get a specific time, you certainly would all be invited to come. Actually, I don't want more than 2 of you here, because if you get a majority, that's a meeting. But I should be in a position to tell you a whole lot more about their positions. They are being cooperative in regard to the explosions and the so forth. So I'm hoping that we can find you an answer that would, I want to find them, but I also want to make positive that it doesn't happen again. And we have their attention. They're being incredibly gracious so far. I hope that continues, but I'm excited about the possibility maybe of getting some semblance of a fix there. The other piece of information I would like to share with you, I don't have the specifics on it yet, and do not hold me to this, but it does look like progress is being made with Mr. Doula's former building in far as getting it removed and making the corner there at Lake Murray Boulevard look better. There are plans that are coming along for the development of that building, which will entail, hopefully, the removal not only of the Doula building, but one of the metal buildings, and the refurbishing of the one metal building that is continuing. If that is able to come along, it will certainly alleviate some other problems. We've had some discussions with the police department, code enforcement on what to do there as well. But I am hopeful, but not promising, that progress is being made on that. And just wanted to share those 2 little items with you, and I thank you for listening to me.
George Glassmeyer.
Glassmeyer.
George Glassmeyer, 100 Denbeck Road. I want to revisit these issues of term limits. Frankly, I think this proposed legislation, you're going out of your way to find a solution for a problem that doesn't exist, and you're taking the scenic route to get there. As things stand now, if the majority of council does not want a member that's on one of these committees to continue to serve, all council needs to do is vote to put another person on that panel. Just don't renew that individual. It's just that simple. When the term comes up, just say, we're not going to renew Mr. or Miss Jones. We're going to install this person. That's all there is to it. I don't think there's any need for this. And as to item 10B, I'm a little disturbed about how and when how this got on the agenda. Mr. Mayor, you were a big advocate, and you said so, of transparency. I think part of transparency is giving proper notice to citizens. This item 10B did not appear on the agenda that went out on listserv on Friday, but it miraculously appeared on the revised agenda that went out late yesterday afternoon. Now, I remember when Town Council had a special meeting in December, Mr. Mayor, to address a zoning change. Your remarks were, what's the hurry? What's the hurry? Well, I want to know what the hurry is about this, because it wasn't on the agenda that was published Friday, but it sure was the one that came out late yesterday afternoon. You need to give citizens proper notice as to what's going to be dealt with and discussed, and I don't think a little over 24 hours, while it does satisfy FOIA, I don't think it meets the spirit of transparency. Thank you.
Do I need to announce the address? Am I good? Okay.
Who are you?
Brandy Clarkson, 318 Lord Howe Road. I own that property in Irmo. Happens to still be my primary residence, according to the county, so I can talk. And this is probably the last time I'll get to talk. I'd never in a million years thought that I would feel bad for the previous council members or for certain citizens. But since I myself know how it feels to be disrespected, and personal vendettas being carried out, I feel like I need to say something. Maybe I'm the only one in this room that's not blind. I'm pretty sure I'm not. But there doesn't need to be term limits on commissions unless you're going to do it to yourself too. Y'all vote these people in just like the voters decide to vote y'all in. People don't want to raise their hand to be council members because the incumbents continue to win, hence Mayor Kathy, sorry, but I mean, it's the truth. The only reason probably two of you guys got in is because Barry backed both of you guys. Love you, Eric. I mean, but I'm serious. This is silly. We are carrying out personal vendettas exactly like the old council did. You don't remove someone from a committee for any reason at any time. Come on, Barry. People can see through this.
Barry.
No, it's still Barry. Secondly, you don't have to be on a committee to have an idea. You have the events queen in this room who has her own committee, which, by the way, none of these 5 applicants, I guess it'd be 4 because one's her, have ever asked to help with an event in this town, ever. They haven't donated to an event. They haven't funded an event. But all of a sudden we got whiteboards and comments on the citizen group and people are coming out of nowhere. These are people who are being told to come out of nowhere. We're employing our friends on committees and getting rid of our enemies. That is not a new Irmo. That is the exact same as the old council, where names kept coming up and they couldn't be put on a committee or a commission because the council didn't like them. This is not okay. I mean, we can all look at me like I'm making stuff up, but follow along, folks. It's not that hard to figure out. I'm really disappointed in a few of you guys because y'all are good people. And here we are now, again, with a majority council, and we're putting our friends up to run for the open seat. Rather than, not you, Kathy, rather than allowing someone who wants a shot. I guess my time's up. I just wanted to point it out because it's silly. We're a town. Whether you like somebody or you don't like somebody, they're part of this town.
Thank you, Ms. Clarkson, for your comments.
You're welcome.
Okay, I just have some comments about things that went on that, number 10B, dealing with the council being able to oust anyone whenever they want to.
I'm sorry, could you tell me your name, please?
I'm sorry, Marie Hutchison.
Yeah, hey, Marie.
Hamilton Park. Eric said that this is the way they're doing it everywhere else, without cause. We don't have to do what everybody does everywhere else. If you look at the way things are going, sometimes that just doesn't work. I believe if you're going to out somebody from a committee, there should be a reason, okay? And part D, I thought it was interesting. Do we know any of these people? Do you know anything about them other than they have a job at a hotel or a restaurant? Do you know Brianna Strong or anything about her? You just voted these people to be on a tax advisory committee for our town. And as far as I know, you probably don't know any more about it than I do, except where they work. I just think that was wrong to vote these people in right now. You should have looked into that. I think that's all I got disturbed with tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchison.
Julius Waits, 124 Bolters Lock Road, Irmo. First of all, I'd like to answer that lady's slap on you guys. We do have a talent book, and these people did submit applications, and it's on the book how they qualify. State requires a person from a hotel. State requires a person from a restaurant to serve on these committees. That's a have to do. So nobody did any fancy dancing here. I want to talk about blue granite. Thank God I don't have blue granite. I've got City of Columbia water and Richland County sewer. However, blue granite is going to go before the Public Service Commission and try to kick everybody 70% more. They just got 70% 2 years ago when Katherine Heigl left DHEC and went to save blue granite from the, what was it, $2 million federal fine they got for polluting the Saluda River. Mm-hmm. Now they're doing it again, and the town has fined them, I think, twice or 3 times. They're going to pass that on to the ratepayers because the state of South Carolina, through the Public Service Commission, allows them to make a certain profit after they pay their expenses. And the state law allows them to class a fine as an expense. This is done in Virginia, and the lady meeting before said that the state of Virginia has pulled the rug out from under Dominion Energy. They can't declare it as an expense anymore. Our Public Service Commission allows them to do that. And I'm glad Dick Harpootlian's going to be here because he's one of the people in the legislature who appoints the people to the Public Service Commission, as do our state legislatormen. He's a senator, not in the state house. Some of our public service commissioners go in there as young men and come out retired or as old as I am. I'm 74, 75 next month. I remember when a lot of them went in, and I've watched them pass increases on to us. Never in my short memory do I remember the Public Service Commission ever refusing an increase. They might have cut it back, but everybody always gets their increase because the state legislature, through the Public Service Commission, allows them to put that down as a business expense. And it also says they must be guaranteed a certain profit. So good luck with the hearing. I'm glad Senator's going to be here, but he's the new senator, and I wish people who have blue granite could get rid of the public monopoly or contract that they have to do business. Thank you.
I'm David Stewart, 101 Glossop. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Unofficially, I don't know whether it was on the town's Facebook page, but I read something that Councilman Sickinger had written regarding the bulk collection fee. I wasn't aware that there was a fee that had been waived by the town to the tune of $25 per item that was picked up. I have taken advantage of that service perhaps 4 times that I'd known that it was available. I did not know that without the subsidy, I would have to fork over $25 to whoever was in the contract to pick up that item. I was not aware, and I don't know which administration put this into effect, whether it was the previous administration or whether it was the current one, that the subsidy will be ending April 1st of this year. I'm opposed to that measure, and here's why. If you let this go through without making some kind of an amendment, I think what will happen is that people will be discouraged from recycling a lot of material. Some people who do have items to be discarded are not able to take it themselves. They do not have ways to contact other people to do it for them. They don't know how to go online and search a volunteer or a charitable organization who will do that. I didn't see any information in what Bob Brown sent to us or what Mr. Sickinger said
that referred to any breakdown of who was abusing the service. Is it a certain neighborhood? Is it a certain time of year? I think $118,000 over 3 years that picked up 4,700 items actually isn't a bad service. Do you want to encourage people instead to leave their washing machines on the front porch? Do you want to encourage people to leave a sofa out in the yard waiting for somebody to pick it up? Or would you rather want to consider modifying this policy? Perhaps it wouldn't be so bad if you put a limit on how many items a specific household could have picked up under a $25 subsidy. Say it's only once or twice a year, and after that, they got to pay the full freight, so that the people who aren't able or cannot find other ways of disposal can take advantage of that. I don't think that the $45,000 or the $50,000 a year fee that you're using to waive that cost is out of line. And I think you ought to reconsider that in the light of the problems that you might see happen if you get rid of that policy. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Wade Deloach, 156 Finsbury Road. I want to thank you all. Happy New Year. Hope you had a great Christmas. Hope everybody enjoyed the lights. I got a pretty good response to the season reading mailbox. And I also like to thank Jada for her events that she's had. Great events, promoting the town. Part of what I try to do is help the town too. And I don't know, my understanding with the event committee is to help promote more events in the park, not take away. And anybody that wants to do anything, they've got a go-to person there that, hey, I'd like to do this, that, or the other. And they got a contact they can go to, and the town supporting anybody and everything. That to me, that's just great. And I don't think that the event's supposed to stop anybody from wanting to do it on their own if they don't want to go through the event committee. The only thing I hope it'd be nice to have this problem. We got so busy that events were conflicting with each other. We had to coordinate dates. In fact, I think me and Jade probably already going to have that this spring. She's going to have something around Easter, and we're going to do a spring thing with garden and home stuff, environmental stuff this spring too. But thank you, Jada. Thank you, council. And I think the event committee is a great idea. Thank you.
Any more? Seeing none, is there no discussion? No executive sessions? I got you under an hour.
Thank you, Barry.
Is there a motion for adjournment? Is there a motion, second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Where's my gavel?
Thank
There
you.
it is.
Good.
Eric already put in the next agenda to talk about the garbage thing. That's why. That's right. For 60 days. So and we can modify it.